3, 2, 1.
I exhaled because that's exactly how I feel. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the day after the elections. This is Keeping It 100. Of course, brought to you by Electher. My name is Balale, and I am here with Adekule, who we both managed to dress up, despite the fact that none of us slept.
The way we are looking is not how we are feeling. What you're seeing is not the ideal representation of what's going on the inside. To be honest, with the outcome of everything and how we've seen the February 25, 2023 election unfold, I can't say it beats our expectations, or I'm not sure people were prepared for this. As much as INEC came out and said, you know what, we're going to have a transparent and free and fair election, I think a lot of people were optimistic, and it was part of the reasons why people came out and said, you know what, we're going to participate in voting. But then towards the end of the day, we've seen reactions on social media, and to be very honest, it is very heartbreaking. And I'm not sure how people are going to feel with believing in the INEC's electoral system going forward from here on.
Adekule, you don't rush. Let's come back. Let's
Alrighty.
rewind.
Okay.
Yesterday, I have voted twice. I have always voted because I believed that it was my civic duty, and I have always believed in the system of democracy. If I wanted to vote, if I wanted there to be change, I knew I had to vote. There was nothing else I could do except for vote. You tell people, guys, go out and vote. We convince people, we canvass, we remind people, we encourage people to PVC up and vote. You tell us that you are ready. You're not postponing the election. You don't postpone the election. At 2 p.m. on election day, people don't have any INEC officials at their polling units. There are no passwords to upload the results.
There's no network.
There's no network. We passed the electoral law. You say BVAS is working. You've done trials. You've made this happen. BVAS is taking 5 minutes to register one person.
And there are thousands of people on the queue.
What happened yesterday with the Nigerian election absolutely broke my heart. And it broke my heart because we know how long it's taking Nigerians to believe in democracy and believe in their votes. They finally believe in their votes, and you disenfranchise them.
You're saying, you know what, or not just the play, I'm going to take this away from you. And I'm not sure what they're trying to do. I don't know if they're trying to break the spirits of Nigerians. I don't know if it's...
Was your spirits not broken yesterday?
It's going to
I almost cried.
It's going to have a ripple effect. I had goosebumps almost. I had to... What's the word I'm looking for?
You had to clock off line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the word to use.
You're speechless. You know, for me, and we want to hear back from our viewers, guys. You know, tell us what your voting experience was like and how you're feeling right now. I was triggered, and I know the whole day I was triggered. And do you know what it reminded me of? It felt like a replication of October 20th, 2020. I felt that feeling of dread, that feeling of, oh, wow, we really might not, how are we going to fix this? Where do we start from? And I think for me, again, INEC has one job. This is the only way that people have the power. You say we're in a democracy, then allow us to be in a democracy. Like, that's my issue. Allow us to be a democracy. Nigerians have finally started voting. The turnout was
I don't even
huge.
think they were expecting the voter turnout.
And even the one that was saying the turnout was huge, it wasn't that big.
Compared to what they are used to.
But when you look at a lot of polling units, you would notice that a lot of polling units, it was around like 30 to 40% that showed up.
Yeah.
And that was huge.
For them, which means that they were not actually ready. If you're going to really think about it, INEC has been compromised. Because what you're saying now is you're having INEC officials who are polling units who are part of the people trying to manipulate the election results. So INEC actually has to come out and tell us, because now we did catch some of those people on tape. It's recorded, it's on social media, it's circulating. How are you going to sanction those people? Because they have to pay for what they've done. Well, typically what they've done is they've tried to steal people's votes. People have come out to say this is the person that we want. And then we've captured people, cancelling votes, erasing votes and then uploading something else. And at the end of the day, when you come out and then you declare the results, what's going to happen is people are going to fight back and say, no, this is not what it is. And the sad part is, if INEC somehow manages to upload the right result, because of everything that we've seen and all the irregularities, people are going to contest it. And I don't think this is a problem that Nigeria has envisaged going into with the new government that they try to put into office, because I'm not sure how many Nigerians still have a fight left in them, but what you're now saying is Nigerians should get ready for fights, because we need to now take back the country we want by force.
Let's talk a little bit about fight and fight left in you. I actually think that we do have to fight. Let me tell you what yesterday did, and this is the thing about this and a feeling of like, you know, the NSAS movement and what happened during October, is that for so many years, we felt so apathetic to what's, there's been so much apathy and there's been so much indifference. Why? Because at some point you're just like, oh, I beg, let me just get mine and get mine. What's happened in the last year, in the last 4 years, specifically in the last year though, because I remember last year was the first time I started having thoughts about it. It was like, it's like I go japa.
Do you know, hold on, do you know that, do you know that there's been few,
I was just like,
Bolanle, do you know there's been fuel scarcity for a year?
Yes.
I had an accident January last year.
There was no
It
fuel.
was on fuel. I wasn't even queuing for fuel.
Let me tell you, I remember there's been fuel scarcity because I remember last year posting a picture on my social media saying, it's like I'll marry this guy because one guy sent me foil. So I remember doing that, and anybody that sends me foil, I'm like, okay, I think I might consider you. So it has been like that for the whole year. That's how I gauge my toasters. So I fully remember.
We've had fuel scarcity for a year, and we've made it we've adapted, we've adjusted.
And that's what I'm saying is that when you think, you know, after NSAS, a lot of people, I think there was this feeling of, you're like, okay, you know what? We do have to change. The way we can change is only with our PVC. Protests don't bring change into the system.
Right.
They galvanize energy, they galvanize potential political movements, but they don't actually bring change to the system. Right. So everyone's been waiting for yesterday. Everyone's waiting because my mom asked me, she was like, oh, that, you know, with the lack of fuel and the cash thing, why are you young people not protesting? I told her, I was just like, why
the protest that the people protest, what was the end result?
No. We're going to protest at the
We'll
polls.
wait.
We'll wait. So yesterday people showed up and they protested, right? So I think, and I hope, because I watched, and I was watching people stay there till 6 a.m., 4 a.m.
People left. People went home to freshen up, then went back, and they're like, we must upload this thing.
11 o'clock, Crocs. And these are execs, like people who, they have options. They can bounce
of course.
if they want to.
Nigeria will be fine, regardless of what happens.
Like,
they'll be okay.
These people, they have options, though. Standing in a puddle of sewage, rainwater in her Crocs, just standing there, because she wanted to vote at 11:59 p.m. She's been there since 8:30 a.m. And when I saw that, and this is us just highlighting the beauty of what yesterday's election really showed, which is Nigerians are awake.
Yeah.
And because we're awake,
they are ready. They are ready.
You guys cannot, politicians, you guys cannot play games anymore.
I really wish, to be honest, one thing I wish I had the privilege to was to be in the camps of these political parties right now, just to have a sense of what's going on in their head, how they are trying to maneuver the entire situation. That's for the parties that might seemingly losing and for the parties that are winning, just to see what the vibe is. Because the truth is, and I'm saying this particularly to the younger people who are head-on supporting certain political parties. Nobody's going to fight you. Nobody's going to challenge you. Everybody has the right to choose whichever candidate that they want to choose. But the one thing you need to know is that whoever it is that you are sticking by, there are consequences for our actions. For every action, there's an opposite reaction. Today is fine. You can support this person, and it's well and good. If you're in bed with them, if you're doing it indirectly because you're anticipating or expecting some form of favor or return. But know this. In the next few years, it's a case of soldier go, soldier come, barrack remain. These guys would go. They can easily switch parties. They will be fine because they are the ones in office. Everything that you have done and put on social media, I promise you is going to come back to bite you. Nobody's going to fight with you. We go, they wait, we go, they watch you.
And that's the thing is that, you know, there's this constant debate. I want us to talk a little bit more about this conversation of, you know, it's been coming up a lot where people are like, you know, if you support a party that I oppose, specifically in situations where people are supporting APC, you know, I'm cutting you off, you're not my friend, you're not my family member. And we kind of talked about it offline yesterday, where I gave the analogy of the fire. And it was interesting because in that moment, I did give the analogy of the fire because to me, when I think of Nigeria, Nigeria is like a house. Your house burning and your children are in it. And this is the analogy I gave. I said, when I hear people saying, I'm going to cut off my family members, I'm going to abuse you, I'll do this if you're supporting specifically situations with APC, I say it's like your house is burning, your children are in it, and you, my neighbor, you're standing there watching my house burn, and you don't go and get a bucket and douse the fire with me. When I see you, after I've saved my house, I'll say, are you not the one that stood there and watched? So that's the analogy I gave, right? And I'm giving that as an analogy. I'm now standing on the other side and I'm saying, because the point you made is very, very good, Adekunle. You supported APC, you supported APC, you supported Labour Party, what happens when the candidates that you supported decides to leave and move to APC?
And that's it now.
Because that's the part where it's like, to me, I fundamentally believe that politicians are all generally in bed with each other, and you cannot lose people over this thing. That's what I believe. But thinking about my analogy, is my assumption wrong?
No, it's not. It's only because people are dancing around the truth because of fear of repercussion. I'm not, to be very honest, right? At the moment, and I love how the election is playing out, not the violent part of it, but the fact that we cannot predict exactly who is going to win. One of the beautiful things that has happened in the last maybe 20 years, it is not a clear-cut race for a particular candidate, and that's very beautiful. That's not to say the candidate might not win. That's not to say the candidate will win. But what is happening now is you guys, I mean the people who are in office, the people who are aspiring to be in office, the people who are affiliated with the people who are in office, they now know that for you to come and govern and lead Nigeria, it's not a case of saying, I want to come and lead Nigeria. It's a case of the people have to put me in office to work. Because really and truly, that's what being a politician or that's what being a government official is in Nigeria. You're here to serve the people. And now, the people have woken up. I'm not sure how most of these politicians thought that they were going to get away with it. People might have decided to stop protesting. They might have decided to stop advocating online for the things that you do that they're not going to complain about, but they're watching and they're seeing and they're waiting, they're paying attention. They wait for 4 years, that's what it takes. To be honest, regardless of how this election plays out, regardless of whoever wins, the people who are not happy about it, if they can't win in court, they're going to wait for another 4 years. The beautiful thing that the citizens have is they have the numbers and they have the patience. But the truth is, and I'm going to say this, for everybody who is supporting all the violence that we are seeing on the internet today, you were supporting your parties way before the election. All of this has happened and then you've gone quiet. I promise you, it is 4 years. 4 years is not a long time. And you may not know how this would affect you now because you are in bed with them, but understand this, you guys would never be in bed together forever. Something will happen, something will switch. And I'll take you back memory lane. Atiku is in PDP today. Tinubu is in APC today. Once upon a time, they were both in AN together. You guys do. I'm not sure if you were young enough, but I'm doing this, just taking you back history lesson. Peter Obi is in Labour Party today. Atiku is in PDP today. Kwankwaso is in NNPP today. A couple of months ago, they were all in the same political party together. Don't say because you have a price and then the politicians have been able to figure out what your price is and then they've now met it, you now want to put again the fact that you're a human being. This thing is simple humanity. And you may not know. It's very simple. Tomorrow, you may be in the most menial situation where you would need help from somebody else. And you never can tell. It might be somebody you've insulted on the internet before simply because of a politician that you're aspiring to meet and that you never meet. Except you have direct contact with these guys, you are most likely going to be screwed over at the end of the day.
You know what, Adekunle, we're going to come to this Twitter, social media energy right after. We know some of you have not voted, so we want to tell you how to do that. Make sure that you're casting your vote properly. Check this video out.
The voting procedures during an election is brought to you by Channels Television. Remember that you're qualified to vote if you are a registered voter and your name appears on the register of voters at your polling unit. On each election day, polling stations will open for accreditation and voting from 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. However, voters on the queue before the close of poll at 2:30 p.m. will be accredited and allowed to vote. Voting at the polling unit will be as follows. Step 1. At the polling unit, join the queue. An INEC official will check if you are at the correct polling unit and confirm that the PVC presented belongs to you. Step 2. An INEC official will confirm if your PVC is genuine using the card reader. You will be asked to place your finger on the card reader. Step 3. An INEC official will also confirm you are listed in the voters register. Your name will be ticked and your finger will be inked to confirm that you have voted. If your name is not found, you cannot vote. Step 4. The presiding officer will stamp, sign, and endorse your ballot paper. You'll be given the ballot paper rolled with the printed side inwards and directed to the voting cubicle. Step 5. Stain your finger with the ink given and mark the box for your preferred candidate or party. Roll the ballot paper in the manner you are given and flatten it. Step 6. Leave the voting cubicle and drop the ballot paper in the ballot box in full view of people at the polling unit. Step 7. Leave the polling unit or wait if you wish to in an orderly and peaceful manner to watch the process up to the declaration of the result. The result of each polling unit shall be pasted at the unit for everyone to see. Vote wisely and avoid vote buying. This announcement is brought to you by Channels Television, a network built on trust.
So you mentioned some really insightful points about, what's happening online, and sometimes I'm very skeptical generally. I think that because I work in media, I think a lot from the perspective of what media is and what content creators are. And I know also how much money is in Twitter politics. It's an insane amount of money. Yes, a lot of people actually are supporters of opposing parties, and they're really supporting a lot of parties. And yes, they've been diehard, but I do know that there's also this incentive, like you said, where people are hoping that, the harder I go for this party, hopefully parties that have traditionally used money to push their agenda, and when I say push their agenda, it's normal for a party to have a marketing budget.
Right.
So basically, it's not that you are buying votes. You just have someone online that's marketing for you, right? And you find situations where I think a lot of times there's the hope that they will be hired by the political party to begin to work for them online. Because I feel like a large percentage of what our issue is as Nigerians and what is always simmering at the very bottom of our friction is poverty.
It is.
Right? When there are not systems and ways to make money outside of politics, there's a huge issue. And when we say make money, I mean like politics.
No, it's for you to make money, you just
is a lot.
Yeah,
And
now do
not,
projects.
Not even the money that is in politics in terms of corruption. I'm talking about like legally.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
Do projects.
Legally.
Submit projects.
Like just a league.
Almost everybody's a contractor.
Leave project. Let's talk about their salaries.
Salaries, allowances, meeting funds.
Do you guys know how much security votes governors collect? And a security vote, literally, they send it to you and you can do anything you want with it. There's no accountability. So when you see politicians and you see people who are trying to align with politicians, do almost any and everything to get there, again, it comes down to that money. If there was no money in politics in Nigeria, what are we jagging about?
To be honest, I'm going to say something.
What are we jagging about?
And I'm going to play the devil's advocate. So what I said earlier about people, standing by their words and supporting a political party, to be very honest with you, right? For example, I don't mind working with any political party. If I was in your shoes, for example, and my principal to say was an aspiring politician or a government official, I know that it is my job to make this person look good. But the one thing that I would not do is, at the detriment of being a human being and for other people to suffer, I would not go through any lengths and deny an obvious lie. The truth is you are educated, or I would like to believe that you're educated. You are on social media, being the social media disposable man or woman, and you are doing all the dirty work because that's what you're there to do. But the truth is, and it's something I want you to go back home to think about, there are people who are close to them who are making a whole lot more money than you are, and they're quiet. So here's the thing, right? You can support your party, quite all right. You do not have to sacrifice humanity to support your candidate, which is all I'm trying to say. Because the truth is, when you come and you think about it, if you go to the social media pages of some of these guys that affiliate with politicians, the ones that have direct contact, you find out that they're either quiet or they're living, for lack of a better word, soft life. And as Bonali have said, it is you people that you are poor, that you are struggling and suffering. You are the one being the social media warrior. challenging and doing all these things. And you're forgetting that the truth is, if you don't really have anything substantial to offer, these politicians are not going to mess with you. I really wish you guys could have a sit down and have a common sense conversations with yourself to see that the Nigeria that you're sacrificing for, because of your immediate gratification, is going to come back and bite you one way or the other. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be in a month's time, but the truth is it will come back and bite you, because what you're forgetting is that you have family members, you have relatives. No human being is an island.
I think really the one that people always forget, you know, and we say it's going to come back and bite you. Doesn't matter how much money you have. If you get sick in Nigeria,
do you understand?
The chances of you dying are very high.
If you are a Twitter
warrior,
warrior,
an emergency sickness, emergency.
If you're a Twitter warrior and you're saying this person, we know how the for example, now politicians, their kids are not schooling in Nigeria. Any small thing, they've left Nigeria, they've gone for medical checkup. Unfortunately, during when we had the COVID-19, some government officials, unfortunately, sadly, they lost their lives. And it's only because when they had the opportunity to fix the healthcare system in Nigeria, it did not work. I think maybe that was the period when they went back and said, okay, you know, we need to pump more money into the health sector. Then we saw government officials, I think some governors coming out to display or do photo op with the state of the art. I'm not sure which states they were using as a benchmark, but state of the art healthcare facilities. And the truth is, let's put prejudice aside, the truth is everybody wants Nigeria to work. Do you want to make money? Fine, all well and good, but you need to understand that we need to have a working system first. This money that you want, you know, and the thing is, and I think what's very funny is, we've seen people who in 2015, they supported APC, and when the fire eventually came close to home, they came back online and they said, we regret supporting APC. Maybe when it was good for them, they didn't feel the need to speak up about it. But when, sadly, something bad happened to them, they decided to recant their statement. There are some people who supported APC in 2015. And again, this is not me saying, I'm not kicking against you supporting APC. If APC is your party, that's all well and good. That's fine. You know, hopefully the elections come out in your favor if you guys have enough people to vote. If not, you try again in 4 years. But what I'm saying is essentially, you need to know that for every action or decision that you make, it is going to come back to you. And again, this also goes as well for the Labour Party candidates. Let it not seem like we're only speaking on APC. If Labour Party does win the election today, or whenever INEC does declare the results, we are all going to be waiting for Labour Party to hit the ground running. We're not going to give you time to say, you know what, we need to find out what's happening. You need to work. And if you do not deliver, we are going to come for you. So also know this, any action that you take publicly, people are going to hold you accountable for it. There's no excuse.
And that's a great point, is that it's going to be really interesting to see, you know, for example, if Labour Party does win, the people online who were supporting them, how do you continue to keep your politicians accountable? Because whoever wins, you must keep your politician who wins accountable. You cannot put a blind eye. Don't just blindly follow people. That is something that we're trying to emancipate ourselves from, which is why we've been stuck where we are for so many years. But Adekunle and I did go out yesterday to the polling units, and we would just want you guys to kind of get a little bit of an insight on what that experience was like and what we saw out in the polling units. Take a look at this. So we're here with Favor, and Favor, is this your first time voting?
It is actually.
Congratulations.
I know, thank you.
It has been a really slow process, but how are you feeling about the election generally, overall?
I'm a bit tense, to be honest, because it seems like it's going to be a close call. I mean, we have some fresh candidates. There seems to be a lot of tension in the air. So I'm trying to be positive, but to be honest, I'm expecting the worst, to be completely honest, yeah.
What we've had so far is across various states and polling units in Nigeria, we've had people talk about the delay from the INEC with getting the resources over there. Is that something you can speak on? Is the fault from maybe the office, or is the road network?
For now, we cannot get the comprehensive report, because what we heard is that some of them did not, because they created new polling units. So some of them could not identify the new polling unit. So there is no public awareness enough on local radios to let them know that some of you, we have disengaged you to social place. Please check your SMS, check your email, so that you can get your information right. And they need to improve on their dissemination of information. I have to advise that there is no way anywhere. Some of them have already been waiting since morning anyway. So what's important is that you people get yourself on queue, take a number till 2:30. So when you take a number to exactly 2:30, don't absorb anybody again. but your voting process can continue beyond 2:30.
You know, yesterday I was, again, just really, really inspired by what I saw, just to see the resilience. I loved seeing all the first-time voters. Loved it. Like, it made me so happy. And I just was just like, yes, like, this is what democracy is about.
Finally, we have a common good, or there's something that can actually unify everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though the thing that made everybody decide to come together is suffering, which is a bit sad. But we are hoping that it's the first time we would get to see Nigerians come together as Nigerians and see each other outside the different biases and segregation. Not that, oh, maybe you're from a different tribe from me, or you speak a different language, or we're not worshiping the same God. To be honest, right, even if we decide to go back to inception, we know Nigeria was not, at the beginning, we're not all together. Sadly, we've spent the last 60 years living like this. And I do not want to believe that we're going to spend the next 60 years still living in constant division.
Yeah.
I know most of us rely on feedback from the older people around us, some who were privy to enjoy Nigeria when Nigeria was very better, but we are all growing up now. Somewhere along the line, we need to be able to think for ourselves. You need to move past, oh, this person is from a different tribe from me, so I'm not going to support them. Or this person does not worship the same God, so I'm not going to believe in what they are saying. To be very honest, regardless of how this thing works, right? When the chips are down and we are all together, we all need to find a way to agree on the one essential thing, which is that we are all Nigerians and we all want the country to work. And it's very funny because when you see Nigerians being in love with each other, it is in the most oddest of places. Most recently, ATM queues. Most recently, at filling stations. And that's when you see that...
Are they in love with each other at ATM queues?
No, to be honest, you see that, no, this person was here first. Where are you coming from and everything?
They're trying
and then,
to create order. I understand what you mean.
there's that. So you see that when Nigerians have a common goal that says, okay, you know, we're all going to be together, we are going to look out for each other. But so just little things just make us forget that one way or the other, we are our brothers' keepers, sisters' keepers, neighbors' keepers.
Yes.
You never know where you're going to find this person tomorrow. You never know what the little good you're going to render to a complete stranger and how it might come back to favor you. The one thing you guys do not know is most of the people who are in charge today, quite a number of them grew up together. Nigeria, 60, 70 years ago, we didn't have this population. Most of the states that we have in Nigeria were only just created some 30, 20 years ago. It's not, go back and check the history. So Fela, Wole Soyinka, Obasanjo, they were all, I think maybe they were all classmates. MK Abiola, I think they were all classmates in primary school. That's not something you get to see every day. You and most of the people that you were in class with, do you even remember their names? Where are they? How many people are deciding to conquer the political field in Nigeria?
The population has exploded significantly.
Boom, shakalaka. And that's what is going to happen in the coming years.
It's going to continue to happen, yeah.
So we need to find a way to say, you know what, we're going to put biases aside and we're going to come together and see each other as Nigerians, because that's the only way we can then say, you know what, we want to start building the Nigeria that works for us as an individual.
I fully agree. We do know that the INEC will be doing a press
briefing, yes.
Press briefing, and that's going to be coming up in the next 3 to 4 minutes. So we're going to be back at 12:30 once that briefing is over. And we're going to just kind of give a little bit of analysis on what we think, you know, is going to happen in the next few days. And of course, we're going to also be joined by a guest who also was an Electher observer, and she was observing the election. So make sure that you come back at 12:30, where Adekunle and I will be here. We'll be joined by a guest. And we'll just kind of, you know, giving a little bit more updates on what's happening. This is the coverage of the Nigerian 2023 elections. Make sure that you keep it locked. We'll be back at 12:30.